So let's look at the second question of this Joe's Pizza series. We want to receive an input, enter your cells, and then get a transaction coming. Keep on doing the same thing until there's an end, right? So we can pretty much understand what the program tries to do, and we also have the visualization. Let's start by set up scanner and set up total. Then after this, we will use a do while loop in which we will get user input of transaction amount or sales amount. Let's say sales amount. Calculate running total. Get user input of continue or not. Now, here comes the while loop. While user input equals to yes, we will keep on running the same block. And once it's no or not yes, then we are going to print out total. The interesting thing is, now that we have this pseudocode, let's look at the pseudocode of our previous weekly sales Java. You can see that create scanner is the same step, initialize variable is the same step, then do while loop inside the loop, get keyboard input and the calculating running total. These are all the same step, only this is new. And then this while input is new. And the printout total is the same step, right? So a lot of this code can be reused. Inside this, a lot of code in the previous example can be reused. In fact, this is one of the very important concepts that you can reuse the code. Of course, there are copyright issues that you cannot just grab any code and put it into your program. But as long as you are writing the code yourself or you get authorized to use the code, you can use the framework inside your code to reduce your time. So let's create a new class. Let's call it assignment 3 sales running total. And again, public static void main. String array args followed by curly braces. Now let's create Java doc comment. And I'm going to copy this inside. And then it's a Java doc comment time for main method. So everything's here. We're going to copy the pseudocode inside. The pseudocode setup scanner and getting, as we discussed before, setup scanner, setup variable total. We can directly copy. Oops, I shouldn't cut. Oh. Okay, anyway, this is the copy. And do while loop, we'll use a do and move everything inside, including the while statement, while cross. We will fill this in later and get user input and calculate running total. We will copy the code over. Here it should say enter sales, just the sales. And now we are getting the sales total and we will get user input. I'll say, is there any more transaction coming? And we will get a string more transactions equals to next line. There is actually an issue here with this method that you will see very soon, but let's just assume is correct. So we will have a more transaction. And remember, this more transaction is a string, so we just want to compare the first char at 0. Okay, and finally, we will print out the result, which is here. And of course, we will add appropriate blank space. Your total sales is a daily sales now. Okay, so the code, the logic is correct now, but there are several issues that we need to pay attention to. First is this more transactions. There's an error. Why? More transaction cannot be resolved. What does that mean? Because more transaction is defined inside this do block. It's not visible outside the block. That's the scope question we have been talking about. And local variables has a scope. Scope exists in the block that it was defined. Here, do while statement is a block, and outside this block, this more transaction variable is not seeable and not usable. And this is not only limited to do while. It's the same for while and the loop. When we discuss and the for, when we discuss for, we said whatever defined in the initialization part of for loop is not visible outside of for loop. And it's the same thing here. If you define a variable inside the loop or in the initialization part of loop code, of a for loop, then it's not visible outside. So what we need to do is to move the definition out, put it here, and remove the definition from here. Char at equals to y. So the code can be compiled. And remember when we talked about the process, we have been focusing on this 1, 2, 3, 4 for now, how we define the model, and we pretty much assume we will have some compilation errors, right? Once we enter the code, there will be some compilation errors, and we fix the compilation error, it will work. We haven't really run into runtime error, and now we will. So let me start to run. And the sales, let me say $1, $2, $3, okay? And now there is a runtime error. This happens in runtime. Compiler cannot catch it, but JVM detected error and let us know there is an issue. The error says string index out of range. And it actually happens here because you can see that the error says string index out of range, and it happens after the printout, right? So that means more transactions char at more transaction, its length is actually less than 0. What does that mean? String index out of range means char at is not valid. Char at 0 is not valid, it means there's nothing in the string. So if you print out string at this time, let me add a header to it so that you can see, not here, so that you can see, because I already tell you more transaction is empty. When I print the empty, you won't be able to see anything. So I put the pound sign in front and the pound sign after. You can see that if the 2 pound signs are staying close next to each other, then you will know it's null. So let me put 1, 2, 3. And you can see pound sign and pound sign, they are here, they are printed out next to each other, which means small transaction is empty. Why? Why would this happen? If you try to Google the issue, Java scanner, next line, there's a bunch of issues with the next line. And one thing I see is scanner is skipping next line. And this is the error that we are running into, that once you finish the next int, your next line is not providing with a value for the more transactions. And once you get into this Stack Overflow page, it basically tells you that's because scanner.nextInt method does not read the new line character. So call to next line after next line will directly read that new line you entered for next int. This is the issue with a scanner class, but this is pretty much what will happen. After next int, I type in 1, 2, 3, and I press enter, give it a new line. But Java virtual, this class, keyboard.nextInt, this method only take 1, 2, 3, and there is a new line, my return, remaining in the pipeline. So when we run into this line, this next line actually reads the empty I entered after 1, 2, 3, and thus more transaction becomes an empty string. In order to resolve the issue, it says you can put a scanner next line after each next int. So let's do this. Let's follow the advice. So we will do a next line, and we explain. Here is what comments can do. You can explain why you need this next line. To remove, actually I want to copy this, the actual new line after integer input. So let's try now. I have a 1, 2, 3. And is there more coming? Yes. Oh, I forgot to remove this part. That's why you still see this. But let's enter 2, 3, 4, and there's no more coming. Oops. And now you calculate, you get the total sales. Okay. So there's also issue. Now you can see that I'm typing in uppercase Y and matches uppercase Y. What if I type in lowercase y? I'm putting 1, 2, 3, and yes, I want more coming, but then it exit because lowercase y is not considered as the same as uppercase Y. To resolve this issue, you can either add a or here, or you can convert this char 0, this more transaction, to uppercase. Either way is fine. Both are used in reality. So running and 1, 2, 3, and the lowercase y. Now it allows me to do 4, 5, 6. And no. Okay, so this is a solution for question 2.